Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Life Show, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy, we hop on every Friday and we talk about everything North Fork. Today we are featuring an interior designer, Dee Ann, and we can't wait to hear to talk about her because she has an interesting spin on what her focus is when she designs spaces for you. In the meantime, our weekly weather report. It is cold, gray, windy. As some of you know, I'm trying to be a polar bear and go as often as I'd like to. And this week, I actually did end up going in when it felt really cold and windy, and there wasn't even any freeze warning, or at least down in the 30s. So I'm hoping I can still talk myself into going this weekend, but who knows? Maybe it's a short-lived fall phase. Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
Good morning. So are you going to go swimming today?
I don't know about today because it's gray and rainy, although I did go this week when it was gray and rainy. What I'm going to try to commit doing is a Sunday group plunges, at least do that.
Okay.
And the reason being, there's something about the synergy of going in a group that kind of makes it so much easier, and you don't feel anything and you don't notice anything, not to mention the community that gathers there. So I'm hoping, I don't know what the weather is Sunday, but I don't think I saw sunshine. So my issue is sunshine. If I see the sun, I feel warm. It doesn't make any sense.
I get that too. Yeah, totally.
It doesn't make any sense, but last week, and I think I put that in the reel, there was this very sweet moment of when there was a group of women. I think many of them, or most of them, had never been in the cold water before, and they were certainly older than me. But I think there were 6 or 7 of them. They all held hands and walked into, oh my God. And it was just so spontaneous. I don't think a lot of us knew, many of them, at least I didn't, but everybody was in the water and they just erupted into applause. And it was just such a beautiful, I don't know if they were family, if they were friends. So I'm thinking that's how I want to go in the water,
Yeah, I love
collectively that. That was great. That was great. I don't see Dee Ann. This new, every time Instagram updates the app, it has a different way of logging in. So let me.
She is on here. I saw she was on here.
I'm gonna send the invite because sometimes it does whatever. What's going on with you? Oh, I think I see. Good morning, Dee Ann.
How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I am
good. You look
good. How are you?
I don't feel as awake today with the gray clouds. So I'm glad you're excited and chipper.
I am. I'm very happy to be here. I don't see back there. I can't see what I see, but going to that sunrise every morning makes me excited. Even when you don't see the sun, it still makes me excited.
We're actually just talking about Sunita's been doing polar bear plunges. And I know you can't actually see it, but I know that you're looking at the bay behind over your shoulder. And I think quite a few people plunge right over there.
So interestingly, I think the bay was colder than the sound. I don't know if that's possible, but yes, at least in the last week or two. I don't know. I give up. And again, it's only a couple of degrees difference. Once you're in, I don't think it matters, those 2 extra degrees. But when I went last week, I actually came to Jamesport by you, Tracy, and it was cold in the sound, really cold. I mean, in the bay.
In the bay? Really?
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. So, Dee Ann, we are going to let you kind of kick it off and tell us about yourself and what you do, and then, we'll dive into sort of your special take on design because we'd love to hear all about it.
Okay. Well, let's see. Where do I start? First, I have to say that, as a designer, which is one of my professions and one of my passions, that being here at the beach on the North Fork is really one of my greatest inspirations. I mean, there is just so much beauty here and so much beauty out there, right? At the beach. I live at the bay. So I live on Peconic Bay. But there's also so much beauty in this community in terms of arts and design. It's just, it has always been here, but now it's kind of exploded. So that is really a big part of where I do get my inspiration for my work. Like, you know, my sole inspiration comes from walking out there every day. I try to do it at the sunrise and at the sunset, but obviously that's every day. But you know, there's so much color, there's so much texture, there's so um just constantly changing beauty. That is what is the gift of actually looking at the water each day, because it changes all
You're
day long.
speaking
It's
my
just
love language. And I'm
amazing.
so glad you brought that up, because so many of us are transplants, have lived in other places, but there's something about drinking the Kool-Aid when you're here that is unavoidable. It literally, I feel the exact same high of just being physically on the North Fork. You know, I think right there, it already starts to change your life in so many ways, because you are so touched by the beauty of what you see around you.
And I feel like when you meet people in other places and they say, oh, where do you live? And you say, I live on the North Fork. In my mind, I'm thinking like, that doesn't even begin to describe where I live. Like, I can't even put into words how amazing life is just because of where I live.
100%. Like, I just tell you guys, I just got back from the most gorgeous trip for a friend's wedding in Rome. So we went all over Italy. We went to Paris, some of the most beautiful places on this earth. And I cannot tell you how joyful I was.
Oh, you can tell
actually
us, because we've experienced that joy. You can tell.
Oh gosh, it's amazing. And I'm from California, so like I'm a beach girl on both coasts. And no disrespect to Cali, because that's, you know, my heart, but it's a different vibe. And that is partly because of this actual like location. You know, there's spiritual, you know, work that happens in locations. And so this has a particular, because of so many reasons. And obviously, you know, native, you know, life here, you know, natives to this area, and all of everything that grows here in a native way that sometimes we actually try to make different. But you know, to really pick up on the actual soul of this place, because it has its own very
so
special
tell us how
soul,
that soul
really
goes into interior design. Like, how do you bridge that?
well. Just like every location, you know, every physical location has its own vibration. Every space has its own vibration. The actual structure has its own vibration, right? The ground that it's on has its own vibration. And then you add humans into all of that mix. And you know, the amazing part about what I do is that I try to align, you know, all of that together so that people feel comfortable in their spaces. It's not just to have everything, you know, that you think you want, that you see in a picture. And trust me, I love Instagram, and you know, it has changed. That has also changed, you know, my life completely. But just seeing something in a photograph isn't enough. Like, what you really have to do is actually connect with the real space, the real people. And I have to say, even if it is virtual, sometimes you can't stand in the space. I mean, you know, I worked during the pandemic. Tracy knows. You know, there were jobs that I didn't see until years later because we still weren't traveling. So thank God for this amazing medium that we have. But again, it still doesn't replace like being in the actual space and working with the actual humans face to face, and being able to touch things and being able to really read what is needed for each client. I like, this most recent job that I had is a blended family that occurred after the passing of my client's wife. And so, this was a really great opportunity to honor people that aren't here anymore, but there are family members who live on, and, the love of everyone who's now, in that house together in a really different environment. It's like the love stays, but everything else, physically is actually
Dee Ann,
is different.
sorry, as you're talking, I'm
And it's a
thinking, we
place.
see beautiful pictures, like you're saying, on Instagram and Pinterest of gorgeously designed houses. But what you're kind of talking about is really about creating a home.
Yeah.
And including so tell me the process of how do you translate one of those beautiful photographs into how that becomes a client's space? What?
Well, that's a really good question. So it starts with, in terms of my process, it always starts with, meeting clients, whether it is in person or it's virtual, and really trying to get a sense of what they are trying to accomplish. And sometimes they don't really know what they're trying to accomplish. This job actually was only supposed to be like the bedrooms, and it turned into like an entire home renovation, every single room. So you don't always know that right away. But what is really important is that, there's, after I meet with clients, the vision starts to kind of percolate. I ask them to show me some things, if they can, that they gravitate towards. Again, sometimes people don't know. My very first job was a really famous musician who literally left town for 3 months to go to Tanglewood, and I didn't show her anything, talk to her, and she came back and everything was different. Like, that's one thing. But when you're really, bless you, Tracy, bless you. When you really, can actually get into it with a client where they can share some things with you, and they don't have to share a lot with you. They can kind of share some things that they're attracted to, and then you can build from there. And color is always like the main building block. So we start with that, because some people, like this last project, they're not comfortable with intense colors. Some people are, but if you know already people are not, then you need to stay in what I like to call, and a friend helped me with this, vibrant neutrals. So it's both. Neutrals have, obviously, like kind of like my sweater, you got both things going on here, right? You've got this beautiful oatmeal-y color, and then you have the bright blue of the butterfly. But it's learning how to help people move a little out of their comfort zone, but not too much where they're like, oh, no way, I can't relate to that. So it's really that like delicate balance of inviting them in, and then also using my skills as a designer to be able to, put that together in a way that is interesting and exciting without being like overwhelming and uncomfortable.
How do you incorporate a client's personal items? Like, this is my grandfather from how do you incorporate a client's personal items into like a new design, and make that feel cohesive?
Yes. Well, that is a lot of what I do, because I love for people to actually have a connection to what they have. And it is so easy to do that now, just because it was a little harder before, actually, just in these like past 10 years, because modern became so incredibly popular that when people wanted to incorporate some, antiques and things from other eras, it was actually harder to do it in a way that was cohesive, like you're speaking about. The moment that we're in right now, and actually what exists all the time, it's just people didn't see it, was that if you love something and it has resonance with you, there is always a way to make that work. And so, you know, when you want to highlight something without having it, you know, scream that it's different from everything else, you actually need to look at the items that you have chosen, and also this in the room setting in sort of like a virtual way, you know, which I do with photos, and, you know, so that you can see like where is it going to have its place that isn't, you know, too much, but there are other things that you can get that will be complementary to it. You know, if something's Art Deco, or even if it's like very ornate and intricate, you know, you can put that on a modern table. You can actually, you know, and I'll tell you another thing that really helps me. I love to use glass. And glass is something that spans like all styles. So I kind of use glass and also crystals, you know, large crystals and small crystals, to actually kind of be a bridge for old and new. So it changes something in the space that allows everything to kind of live together. The color piece is also really important. You know, if you have all one color wood and then all of a sudden you introduce something that's like a totally different color, that's going to be hard too. So it's all like, then maybe you find something that's closer in wood tone to the piece that you have, that might be a little more modern, but at least you have more than just that piece. You can see that actually some connection there. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. But I would say, like, right now, if you look at, you know, I follow some specific people, but I have to tell you, even going to Europe, you know, again, was a great ability to see how the ancient, you know, lives with the modern, and they have been doing that for, you know, you can walk down the street in Rome and it's like, oh yeah, that's from 5 AD. Yeah, those ruins. Okay. But still, like, it was so amazing because we're still using the marble that they used then. It's just, it's so crazy. But I'm so glad you brought that up, because mixing the new and the ancient is like one of my favorite. That's one of my, the new, not even just the ancient, the vintage, the meaningful, what has meaning.
Sounds to me like the initial consultation with the client, as you were describing about, is almost self-discovery or an interior therapy of what it is that's calling your name right now. Because I know for myself, at some point in my life, I loved vibrant colors. I mean, every room in my house was a different color, and I'm talking orange, yellow, and I had really high ceilings. So, you know, but now, if you look at my house, I don't have that much color. I'm kind of gravitating towards neutrals. So I feel like we go through different phases in life. So that consultation is a chance to stop and pause and think about, what do I really like? Do I like color? Do I, you know? So that's got to be an interesting or important conversation in the beginning.
It definitely is. I like to ask people some very specific questions that sometimes they can give me before I even, you know, meet with them in person. Tracy, do you want to ask me something?
Very, very observant. I was going to ask, what happens when you have a consultation with a client and because I can relate to this in events, your personal taste is very different from their taste. How do you work with a client like that?
Well, this job is really not about my personal taste. That's really, you know, this career, this profession, this calling, because that's really what it is about me using my skills and training to assess what a client wants, and use my experience and my resources and my, abilities to, bring that into reality. So, I have, certain, styles that, I gravitate towards, but it is really not about my personal taste. I mean, I will say if someone's, really going to, make a major, know, mistake just because it's going to make the whole space go out of balance if they, insist on something, I will tell them, I will definitely let them know. And in, a kind and honest way. I mean, I have to be honest, but it isn't at all really about my personal style. It's really about being of service to my clients and being able to take their, what they love, or even if they don't yet know what they love, and be able to, provide a beautiful space for them. So
how does
that's
someone
true.
go about engaging your services?
Well, what a good question. They can go, they can call me directly, which I don't know how we do that here. I think it just goes to the, my Instagram page. I have a website, and you can look around that website, and you can also then reach out to me for that design discovery consultation, which is, a first kind of, chat. And then, we make the appointment just so, we can have a little, conversation again, because whether it's virtual or it's in person, you still need to talk. There's only so much you can do through texting and emails. Like, you need to actually have a real human conversation. And then from the human conversation, we schedule that real, design discovery consultation, where I come in and we sit for like an hour and a half. That you can reach me either through the website or,
and the website is deeanndesign.com. Okay.
Correct. You know that. Balance. Yes. And it is there, and it's great to look at pictures. And I do have to say that, I'm not great at posting recent things, but working on it. So I'm going to post some things, obviously, on Instagram, some new work photos, and those will also be on my website. But first things first is that, initial conversation with people just to connect with them.
Well, it's been so wonderful talking to you and hearing about your unique approach to design, because I don't know a lot of people who take so much emphasis on the spiritual part of it, and sort of what the word that you used was the vibration. And I love that idea that each space, each person, each item that you bring in all has a certain vibration, and that they have to go together. And I don't hear that a lot in design. So thank you for sharing that with us. We usually end the show with our NOFO Live 5, but before we do, we want to announce the winner of our giveaway. So we just did a giveaway this week. It was a little collection of NOFO Live merch, and the winner is Chris from NOFO, Chris Campbell. So we will contact them today and let them know that they won. Very exciting. Yay! And so now we'll go into our NOFO Live 5. I'll kick it off. So, Dee Ann, if you were going to take Sunita and I out to lunch or dinner, where would you take us?
I would take you to Il Giardino. Yep. I mean, I love that place. What can I say? John's salad is like my favorite thing. So yeah, that's where I'd take the outside. It's like being in a little, Italian
place that has the
like,
garden
enclave.
Seating in the back. Okay, yeah, beautiful. I'm up for it. Let's go, Tracy.
Yes.
Now, I know you mentioned at the top of the show that you live on the Bay, so I probably know the answer to this, but sunrise or sunset?
I can't pick it. Both. I really both. It's literally right
Correct.
across.
That's where you would catch.
From where. So reason why I can't be, at both each day. The sun's rising over on that, and it's setting over
that's
here.
Awesome
So
that you get the best of both worlds. That's a beautiful location.
Yeah, so I want you guys to come over
Yes.
here.
We'll do takeout from there. From Argentina. Okay. Would we find you at a brewery or a vineyard?
No, probably not. I shouldn't say that. I like Jamesport Brewery because I still go there. I don't drink. So I still go there though with friends. We've had a lot of fun there listening to music. I think it's just Jamesport Farm Brewery. But it's fun. So yeah, I would say I really love.
Don't they have a wood fire
It's
pizza
cool.
truck too? Is that the one that has the wood fire pizza?
Sometimes they do.
No, it's not.
I think that
one though.
Well, you know what? It's so interesting that you said the reason you go there, because we were talking about the magic of the North Fork and that it offers so much. But I feel like at the vineyards and the breweries, there's so much more. Of course, they're offering the wine and the beer. Like I go to Greenport Brewery partially because they have great bands. I mean, there's nice music there and the lawn outside and the seating. And each vineyard offers their own beauty. I see people there with newspapers sitting and chilling in the fields, reading.
Yeah, I really love that a lot of the vineyards have started offering yoga over the last couple of years, because that's a way that I get to experience some of the most beautiful parts of our area, since I don't drink either, so that I can go with like a purpose, and it's, I get to see each of the different wineries, which is so much fun.
Totally. I want to do that too, but there's a lot of families. There's a lot of, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Meadowlark has been doing their Pizza Fridays. I don't know if you've been to that. That's really one place where I've seen a lot of young families running around in their scene, and they have pizza. I think the Treatery was there. So there's a lot of community gatherings happening at these places that are also creating beer and wine.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely.
Great. Yes, but I forgot. Am I up? Yes, I'm up. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so when you cook at home, I know you also, because I know you personally, I know you also take a spiritual approach to food. Where do you get your fresh fruits and veggies here on the North Fork?
I'm so glad, because I was like, you have to ask me a farm stand question. Well, my real go-to for many years has been Little Jen's, farm stand on the corner. That's been my go-to. I still get
It's in.
Okay. So
it's on Peconic Bay Boulevard, right where Hubbard and Peconic Bay Boulevard come together at where Phil's is. We're on the docks. It's called On the Docks now.
There you go.
Oh, so the other end, the other end of Peconic Bay Boulevard from me, like,
Correct.
Okay, got it. And it's a little farm stand?
It's little, and it's like, she always has stuff out there, which is why I love it. You can Venmo.
That's really important.
It's so good. And she always has, like, I get all my peaches there, like my fruit, oh my gosh, corn, peppers, everything I need, I get there. But then I gotta say, I also have discovered this year Golden Earthworm Farms, which is, oh my gosh, I actually told them they should be on this show. And they will be, they want to be. Like I did, it's gonna happen for you. But their carrots, okay, you got to shout out about carrots. Like, they're unbelievable. Like, and I've tried so many things. They have these Italian onions and like these amazing leeks. Can you take me there?
I literally live like right there, right? But their hours are sparse.
Only Thursday, Friday, Saturdays.
It's like every time I drive by, I go, "Ooh, are they open?" No. Okay, so you have to tell me when you're going, and then I will just get in the car and bring Tilly, and we'll go, or we'll walk over. Yeah. Okay.
100%. I'm totally. You guys, will you also let me just give a little shout out to some shops in Greenport that I actually love, because I mean, this is a design thing, so I got to tell you, there's two shops. One is
I love Michael. His store is just divine. Yes.
and you know, he like channels my dad. My dad was a graphic artist and a modern artist, and like Michael and, you know, we have a lot in common, and I always find the most amazing stuff there. Glass, ceramics, just fantastic. And then Metal Monk, which is actually just a few stores over, they also have amazing, amazing things. Like, don't let the outside like little display scare you, because honestly, I didn't go in there for a long time because I was like, oh, that's too much for me. But I had a friend here and we went in there, and there were so many wonderful, just wonderful things, and all from local artists. Like, you know, this community is just amazing. There's a lot more. I'll give you, I could make a list of my picks of,
do it.
of great
We'll put it in
design,
our
you know.
stories. Yeah.
Okay. Because really, like, it's so rich
Yeah.
here. It's amazing. William Reese galleries, like, you know, there's a lot of there's so much art here and so much talent. Yeah.
Well,
it's
that, I
amazing.
mean, basically the last 2 minutes of the show just summed up the entire why we love the North Fork, right? Meeting up, going to farm stands together, shopping for art. But can you sum up for us and for our audience in 1 or 2 sentences why you love being a part of the North Fork community?
You know what? I have a sign outside my my house that says the beach is where my heart is. And it's not just the beach though. It's like, it is the fields, it is, you know, the farmers, it is, you know, the animals, it's the artists, it's all the humans, and just even the ground that this is on. This is a really sacred place. And there's so much to enjoy here, and just so much to be grateful for. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place to live. It truly, truly is.
Well, thank you
Speaks
so
to my heart.
much for being on this morning, Dee Ann.
Thank you, Dee Ann.
So happy to
And
talk to you.
it was so gray when I was starting the show, and I was just feeling, it's Friday. But I'm so glad you brought your North Fork love and sunshine, and reminded us of why we're so happy to all be here in this place together.
Thank you so much. It was so great to be able to do it. Thank you guys for
Have a
asking
good
me.
weekend, everybody.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Tracy, I'll tag you. You'll post the story about the winner of the giveaway, and then we're going to pick up locally. I'm assuming they're on the North Fork because it says Chris NOFO. So let's figure out how we can get this merch to you, and hopefully we'll see pictures of it out in the wild.
Yes. Sounds good.
Have a good weekend.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Bye.
Hey.